This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeff Malinoff, and with me is Mark Souza, and welcome to our 500th episode of the GSMC Sports Podcast. Very special day indeed, but we got stuff to talk about in sports. We got basketball, baseball, and football. Basketball roundup will happen in the NBA last 24 hours or so, and we're also going to be talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame inductees and a very special one for Mariano Rivera. And also in the NFL, we have a coaching change in the defensive side for the Kansas City Chiefs we'll talk about, and other things. Mm-hmm. But first, we will be talking about the NBA, and actually there was kind of an interesting game between the Timberwolves and Suns that led to almost a brawl of sorts. Mm-hmm. You want to get into it? Yeah, Devin Booker and
Gorgio Jiang.
Yeah. I can't pronounce that name to save my life.
Jiang.
Yeah,
they got into it. Looked like a little bit of an elbow by Jiang. I don't think it was intentional.
I don't think it was intentional, but Booker kind of assumed it was. I don't know.
They got in a little scuffle.
But apparently he looked for Booker after the game, and people were like, oh, he's looking to fight him. But he was quoted in saying, I was trying to exchange jerseys with him. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that?
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
Who believes that?
I don't know. It's an honest question. Because
you believe that I got some beachfront property to sell you in Idaho, you know?
Wait, what?
Beachfront property?
In Iowa.
In Idaho. Well, Iowa, too. That works.
I get it, because there's no beach there.
Some other landlocked state.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But this game was Timberwolves just because the Suns are still in a slump. They're going to be in that slump. They're going to be in the bottom of the Western Conference for a good long period of time.
Yeah? Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. They need to make some noise because Booker can't handle everything himself. He can't have these 30 to 40-point games like he has had in the past every single night.
Well, maybe they get the number one pick and they get Zion.
Zion, Ayton, and Booker would be a very deadly three.
Be a good start.
It
would be a good start.
It would be a very good start, absolutely. And Karl Anthony Towns, this was his game to own because he had 25 points and 18 rebounds, 7 assists, the dominant performance by him, just like basically every game the Timberwolves have. He's usually up there in the rebound department as well as the point department.
Yeah.
But Timberwolves handled this game 118-91. It was a complete blowout. Also yesterday was the Mavericks versus the Clippers. One team looking for the playoffs, and the other team is just trying to. Do you think they're trying to fit a playoff spot, or do you think the Mavericks are looking for next season?
The Mavericks have definitely hit a rough spot. Mm-hmm. I think that they're still trying to make some noise. I don't think they're a team that's looking to tank the rest of the season at all. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's ultimately they're not going to be good enough. Yeah. They're 21-26. I know that sounds okay, but in the Western Conference,
that's a death sentence.
In the Western Conference, if you're 5 games under 500 right now, you're pretty much dead in the water.
The former trade block Smith Jr. had 17 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and he played the most out of anyone else with 37 minutes.
That's the biggest story here is that he returns the team. He had a pretty decent game.
He 37 minutes
of the floor.
Yeah, 37 minutes compared to everybody else. The closest to him is DeAndre Jordan with 35 minutes. And DeAndre Jordan has been a rebounding machine lately. Like, absolutely insane.
Clippers are a team that keeps falling, so I don't think.
Do you think it was all momentum?
I don't think either one of these teams is making the playoffs.
Do you think the beginning of the year was all momentum for them? And
yeah, I just think they were playing really well, and they do have a decent roster. They're not like a bad roster, but I think they were playing a little bit above their head, Mm-hmm. So they're a good team. Like they can, if they were in the Eastern Conference, probably be the 6th seed easily. But in the West, and they're still currently in the playoffs, but I just don't think that they'll be able to sustain because this team keeps falling. They're now 8th in the playoffs. It was just a couple weeks ago they were in the top 4. Now they're 8th. You look at their last 10, 4 and 6 in their last 10. They're actually barely above in points per game in opposed to how much they give up. So those numbers are going in the wrong directions. They just aren't playing that great of basketball, and they're only half a game above the Lakers, who haven't had LeBron James since Christmas. They're 1.5 games above the Kings. They're only 2 games above Minnesota. New Orleans.
They're
is
holding
right
on
there.
by a thread.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, if you look at it, the Clippers, I think that what Doc Rivers has done with that team has been really good. Like the fact that they're 25-22 right now is surprising to me. If you would have told me that at the beginning of the year, that 47 games through the year they'd have 25 wins, I would actually be really surprised because I thought this was a rebuilding year for them. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely, and just it's one of those
They
things.
just had a weird roster. Like they had
Tobias
Harris.
It was not a playoff team roster.
They had a couple good draft picks that were interesting, but they still didn't get like any of the top talent.
I felt like it was one of these years, and we're just like, we got to think about next year rather than this year with the talent. Nothing against the team itself. I just think they don't have the talent to handle the Warriors or like any of the top teams in the Western Conference or even the bottom teams in the Western Conference for that matter. I think Utah is better than them. I really believe so.
Yeah.
I can even say LA might be better than them at this
Lakers
point.
are for sure better than them.
Yeah, and then you can even say the Kings and Timberwolves are kind of more talented than they
Clippers have owned the Kings this year, so I'm not sure, but yeah, that's
just overall talent
Minnesota.
wise. I was thinking more over talent wise and potential.
Well, we're going to see the Clippers play 2 of those teams that you just mentioned, the Lakers and the Kings. They play both of those teams here in the next week.
So we'll find out.
We'll find out. Yeah, they play the Heat tonight. So the Clippers are on a back-to-back at Miami tonight, and at Miami is one of the toughest places to play. As we know. You know why? Because it's called the Miami flu. They call it the Miami flu when teams go play Miami because they stay out too much. They drink a little too much. They have a little too much fun, and usually they lose when they go to Miami. We'll see if the Clippers can avoid that.
Do you think that'll be like with the Oakland Raiders when they go to Vegas?
Absolutely.
Do you think that's why they go to Vegas? That advantage?
Not the reason why, but it's definitely a byproduct.
Perk?
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. So if I make a team, I better put them in a very party-like area at least.
Yeah, have them stay off the strip.
Cancun.
Have them get a hotel like 15 miles away from the strip.
They would still get there.
Maybe, but you make it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, whatever.
We'll see. Yeah. So, what about the game of the night last night? Thunder and Blazers on ESPN. It was a really good game. It was very competitive. But Paul George, man, this dude. We talked about our midseason awards about Defense Player of the Year, and I picked him as Defense Player of the Year. 5 steals last night, 2 in crunch time. The dude is just a monster.
He's under the radar amazing lately. And I say under the radar because there's so many like other players that people are talking about, and he deserves so much more credit than he's getting. And of course, like Russell Westbrook, he had his classic triple-double, 29, 10, and 14.
I think Paul George should be the starting small forward in the All-Star game in the Western Conference. And I know that LeBron and Kevin Durant are also in the Western Conference. I know that they're there.
That is a bold statement, sir.
This is a career year for him.
But you know as well as I do, the All-Star game is popularity, and he's not as popular as those.
Yeah, but again, fan voting is not the whole thing. I know.
If it was based on talent alone, like how they're playing this year, like how I believe like it should be run, like how they're playing this year, I agree with you because he's playing better than Durant right now. He's playing better than LeBron because LeBron hasn't played.
Yes, I think he will start. I think he'll start. I think he'll be the starter for the West. Look at his averages. His points per game is up 6 points. His rebounds are up almost 3. And his assists are up almost a full assist more. His defense is up. Every category, he is improving. Do you
remember when people said like last year that he was kind of slowing down? He's not slowing down much anymore.
Last year his numbers were a little bit lower. I think maybe the adjustment period was still going on, playing with Russell Westbrook, because his numbers were down. His points and his rebounds were down.
People were like, "This is not a good fit for him. He should not be here. He should be going to LA." Blah 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 blah. And now he's kind of proving them all wrong.
He is, he's having an incredible season. Not only defensively, but defensively, he for sure should be up there for Defense Player of the Year. I wonder if he'll even get a mention for Most Improved, to be honest with you, because 6 points a game and you're improving in every other category, it might get some votes. I don't know. That category is weird.
Yeah, because it's not Comeback Player of the Year like it used to be.
You know who should win it if it is about – people keep saying Derrick Rose should win it. What about Kawhi Leonard? If it's comeback player, if it's most improved because they were hurt all last season, he played 8 games last year.
That is true. I didn't even think of that. But that's not because everyone knew he was going to come back strong, though. That's the thing. Like they didn't expect him to be like.
But Rose was good 2 years ago, about this good. Then he got hurt, and then he got back. So I mean, I don't know.
We honestly have no idea how these awards even work. Let's be honest. Like these awards.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting because I haven't heard Kawhi Leonard's name mentioned in Most Improved, but I keep hearing Derrick Rose.
It's because of that. It's the 51-point performance that really put that in perspective.
Right, but Kawhi Leonard could win Most Improved and win MVP.
That would be absurd, but not absurd in just no way. I'm saying he wins 2 awards that are really different from each other. Mm-hmm. Those two are very different.
I have a question. If LeBron misses the rest of the season and then he comes back next year, is he the most improved player?
No. They won't put him in that category. I would agree he deserves to be in that category due to the fact that that's what improved.
If your criteria is just based on the year before, right? If it's just...
Yeah, I that's what it is and what it should be, but I don't think people think of it like that. That's why I think people were saying De'Aaron Fox as well, and I agree, but I think Derrick Rose is going to get the notch above Fox in this situation.
See, in 2006, so let's go to Derrick Rose real quick. I know he got hurt last year. He only played...
Shocker.
He only played 23 games. He only played 23 games, but look, in 2016, 2 years ago, 2016-2017 season, he played 64 games. He averaged 18, 4, and 4. This year he's averaging 19, 3, and 4.
So
his numbers are basically
he added
the
a point
same.
and minus a rebound.
Yeah, his numbers are basically the same from 2 years ago. Not that it's not impressive. That's not what I'm saying at all. But he would only win because of injury. It's not like he's doing better than he was before. He's been consistently this. In 2015, Derrick Rose 16, 3, and 5. In 2014, 18, 3, and 5. You know what I mean? His numbers are the same. You know?
Yeah, they're consistent.
But the whole mindset I keep hearing is, he's so much better than he was before.
He's just
healthy.
I can't stress this enough. It's that one 50-point game he had, or 51 to be exact.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, what about the Raptors? No Kawhi, no problem. They handle the Kings.
And
both teams rested players.
Yeah, and in not surprising matter, the Raptors just a better team overall, probably the best team in basketball, arguably. Mm-hmm. And they won 120-105. It was mainly it was Kyle Lowry's team yet again, basically kind of carrying, took the torch while Leonard's gone with that 19-point performance, 9 assists. There was 4 of their players had 15 or more points. 4 of their starters. And Ibaka had a 15-10 game. And it was just, this team may be the most complete team in basketball from start to finish. From the starters to the bench, it's arguable to say team, their most complete team.
It's arguable that this is the most well-rounded team. I would agree with that. They cruise again. Conley and Gasol.
They are on the trade block.
Mm-hmm. I know you want to talk about them being on the trade
because
block.
those are the 2 core pieces of that team, or the leaders of that team, and they are now on the trade block. And the question is, what team do you think will go for those players? Do you see like a Lakers team trying to make that trade? Do you see a Rockets team trying to make that trade, or do you see a team on the bottom of the standings looking in like the Heat or even like
basketball is such a it's a headache to figure out where teams will go to. It feels like it's like you have to look at teams
Conley can fit like great in Milwaukee. Like that could be a guy that boosts them into another.
Milwaukee's got the best record in basketball.
Yeah, and that would only improve them. Like why not go for that and try to go for a champion? So that's a championship run trade type thing.
Maybe
because Conley can only boost a team. Like I honestly I don't think Marc Gasol will go to the Bucks because of the fact Giannis is there. And I honestly think it's like if Marc Gasol is going to go to a top team in the NBA, I can see him going to the Raptors or maybe even the Thunder. I won't say I
don't think either one of these players is going to go to a major team, to be honest with you. I could see a team like Utah wanting Mike Conley to replace Ricky Rubio.
Well, I'm just naming teams in like the front running, like this is a championship push trade type of thing. Do you not see him as a championship push trade?
I could see the Lakers being interested in Marc Gasol.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree.
They have Chandler, JaVale McGee. I mean, Marc Gasol is an upgrade.
Mm-hmm. But what are you giving up for him?
I don't know.
Just
what team are we talking about?
Let's say.
If I'm the Lakers, I don't even know if I can offer the Grizzlies
I got one. Let's say Portland.
Portland's got Nurkic though. He's really good.
Yeah, but can they improve with Gasol or Conley?
Not with either one. Both of those guys wouldn't start.
I mean, there would be great bench
players. You got
players.
Damian Lillard.
Well, they're both up there in age is what I'm saying. Like, they would be great bench players.
But you got Lillard. He's not playing over he's not.
Would you put Gasol with, like, Houston?
I mean, that's a team that could use it. But, again, Houston's got nothing to give. Mm-hmm. So, like, they're not giving away these players.
No, of course not.
So, like, what's Houston going to give it for Gasol? Two first-round picks?
No, well, that's way too much because Gasol's at the end of his career.
But contending teams don't care about first-round picks. They'll give away.
Well, I mean, the Rockets did offer, what was it, 3 or 4 or more? 4 first-round picks for Jimmy Butler. That they can't believe. I still can't believe that wasn't a done deal. If I heard 4 first-round picks, I don't care.
See, the Rockets won't do it because they have Capella. Capella will be back. So when he's back, you don't really have a need. You can't use Gasol.
So you say Utah, or like I think the Lakers are probably in my mind the favorites to land one of these guys. Because LeBron's gone, they need all the help they can get.
The only thing is, I don't know what the Grizzlies would take from the Lakers that they would be interested in. Because the Lakers are not going to trade Lonzo, Kuzma, or Ingram for any one of these guys.
But the thing is, with Lonzo gone for a couple of weeks, they could use Conley, and they could probably trade a couple of bench players, in theory. But I don't know what.
I don't think the Lakers are going to make a trade.
Memphis is asking for.
I don't think the Lakers are going to make a trade that is risking the future for this year. They're not going to win this year. The Lakers already know they're not going to win this year. They're playing for next year. They have expiring contracts. They're going to be able to max out a player.
So do you see a team that's trying to win now going for them?
I could see Mike Conley going to the Utah Jazz. I think I look at that team like, okay, that's a move that could boost that team. He would provide
him with Donovan Mitchell would be a very deadly combo.
The Jazz aren't a big scoring team. He's a scoring point guard. Ricky Rubio's a passer. It's a nice little combo there where you have
Every time I hear Ricky Rubio's name, I think of Rufio from The Hook, Captain, like from that Peter Pan movie.
I think of Ricky Bobby.
You think of Ricky Bobby, really?
Ricky Rubio, yeah.
I think of Rubio, I think of Rufio. Sounds similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I could see the Jazz doing something like that. Why don't we just send Marc Gasol to San Antonio and then the brothers can play with each other?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyways, what do you think we take a break?
Yeah, sure, we can do that. When we get back, we'll talk about baseball in the Hall of Fame because we have some new inductees, and we'll be right back right after this.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We just finished off with the NBA roundup. Now let's go to the Major League Baseball, as we now know who the Major League Baseball Hall of Famers are for this year.
Yes, we
and
do.
History has been made because the very first ever unanimous 100% everyone voted for this Hall of Famer now is Mariano Rivera, arguably the greatest closer of all time.
I don't even think it's arguable. He is, right?
No, yeah, it is. It's a done deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who else made it?
Edgar Martinez also made it.
On his last attempt.
On his final, by the skin of his teeth. And as well as Roy Halladay, who passed away. Was it this time last year or was it in July?
I don't know. It was last year at some point.
Mm-hmm. And
Mike Messina.
Yes, and that was...
And there's one more, right?
No, I think it was
There's
just 4.
5.
Was there 5?
I don't know.
I thought it was just 4. I'll look it up again.
Nope, there was 4.
Yeah,
You're right.
it's only 4.
They only had 4.
Yeah. Congratulations to all 4.
I am actually shocked.
Shocked about what?
That Mariano Rivera is the only 100% vote
This is
getter.
the first time in 83 years
So
since
let
the
me ask-
inaugural Hall of
yeah.
Fame vote in 1936.
Who made it that year?
There were 11 voters in 36. Guess who was one of the options?
Well, I want to know who. Wait, this is the first time that somebody's ever been voted 100%, or the first time since then?
First time ever.
Right.
Since the
So
the inaugural Hall of Fame votes were in
So I
1936.
wanted to ask you this question. I wanted to shift this conversation. Who the hell didn't vote 100% for guys like Babe Ruth, Willie Mays?
Well, in the voting, there were 11.
Ted Williams.
There were 11 voters in 1936 who saw the name of Babe Ruth on their ballots and thought, "Nah, I'm good." And there were also a couple of voters who thought no on Ty Cobb. And in 1966, 20 voters snubbed Ted Williams.
Who? I want those names.
Yes, right.
I know that back then it was anonymous, but now they don't do it anonymously anymore, and I think that's why Mariano Rivera got 100%.
But
Who was going to be the guy?
I can't believe 20 voters said no to Ted Williams.
I can't believe that they've been doing this anonymously until now. Think about that. People just not voting for people because of grudges. Like, oh, I'm a New York writer, so I'm not going to vote for this Red Sox.
That's pretty petty.
Yeah, no, but now they have to put their name on it, which makes sense. Why do you think Rivera got 100% and Babe Ruth didn't? Or
Because people had a grudge against Babe Ruth, probably.
Yeah, for what? For
eating their favorite teams?
For eating all the hot dogs? Like, what did he do?
For smoking a cigar as he hit a home run?
Willie Mays wasn't 100%. Willie Mays. Some people say Willie Mays is the greatest living baseball player.
You want to hear another one that was snubbed?
I mean,
Jackie Robinson, one of the most influential, maybe the most influential baseball player of all time.
We could do this forever. Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig. Like, none of these guys are 100%. None of them.
And even, like, in 3 years ago, 3 voters among the 440 voters that are doing the Hall of Fame voting thought Ken Griffey Jr. wasn't good enough for the Hall of Fame. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr., one of the most iconic names in baseball.
Next year, Derek Jeter's on the ballot.
He's probably going to get 100%. If he doesn't get 100%, I will be amazed.
We'll see what happens.
But I still can't believe, like you said, Willie Mays didn't get the nod.
I wouldn't be shocked if Derek Jeter didn't get 100%. I mean, personally speaking, Derek Jeter, like...
Also, wait a minute. Hank Aaron. We forgot to talk about Hank Aaron.
The thing about Derek Jeter... Yes, Hank Aaron,
didn't
definitely.
get the nod.
He was the home run king at the time
for
that he...
decades.
He was literally the home run king. And he had... And he didn't have the steroid cloud over him like Barry Bonds did.
Yeah, and he doesn't get the nod. Oh, my gosh.
It's just actually... It's crazy to me, man. It's crazy to me, and I don't care about the steroid stuff. People have their own opinion about that, which I understand. If you're like, I don't want to vote for this guy because he was roided up his whole career, fine, whatever. But, like, how the hell was a guy like Ted Williams, a guy like Willie Mays, not 100%?
Ted Williams is arguably the greatest. Like, he wanted to be known as the greatest hitter that ever lived, and people say he is.
And Willie Mays is arguably a top 10 hitter, top 10 base runner, top 10 outfielder.
Just top 10 player of all time.
He might be the best player of all time.
He's probably in everyone's top 5, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Willie Mays is for sure one of the best players of all time.
He also has the most iconic catch in baseball history.
But beyond that, it's just mind-boggling to me, man. Like, it actually makes me laugh. And when you think about it, that now the votes are not anonymous, it makes sense.
It's like, I want, like, people
now they don't want to be the guy that, like, oh, you didn't vote for him, we should probably take away your
Can you imagine if someone actually did not vote for Mariano Rivera and people knew who it was? He would be not looked at very highly anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's like, are you kidding me?
You know what's kind of funny? Mm-hmm. You know, obviously a lot of the talk about the Hall of Fame is the steroid guys, quote unquote, didn't get in.
The steroid era guys. Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds got snubbed yet again.
Right.
I believe they only have
Mark McGwire.
They only have a couple more years.
Mark
He's
McGwire.
not even close. Barry
Sammy
Bonds.
Sosa.
The closer.
They're not getting in, right?
Sammy Sosa had like 2%, I believe.
Like, they're all not getting in, okay? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, when...
You wish upon a star?
No, it's... Like, they're not going to get in, but for Barry Bonds, for example... Hold on, before I get back to Barry Bonds. You remember when we laughed at Jose Canseco for putting out that book where he named everybody?
Yeah. And
everybody's like, dude, this guy's an idiot. We don't believe him. These guys weren't doing that. And everybody called Jose Canseco a kook. Everybody was like, dude, this guy's psycho. You can't trust him. He's a liar. He's this and that. And it turned out to be right, 100%. I have to give Jose Canseco his dues. Because every sports talk show in America was talking about how Jose Canseco sold out for this book where he named all the players. I think he named 6 players. It all turned out that it was all true. You know how we know it's true?
They all
Not only did they get named in the Mitchell report, but you want to know what else?
Mm-hmm.
None of those players sued him.
That's a good point.
None of them.
They were just like, oh, damn it.
I'm pretty sure, Jeff, if they were clean...
They would have
sued him.
They would have been pissed.
They would have sued him for you cost people money when you drag their name out like that, especially somebody in, sports. Like, you're telling me I can't get in the Hall of Fame because I got named in because some idiot said that I was on roids and I wasn't? No, because you were on roids. That's what I think is funny. I think Jose Canseco should get a little credit today.
Yeah. Canseco kind of is the reason for a lot of these players, huh? Not in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, it's just he was the one that he named names, man. He named names. He could have said like, "I know a guy who kind of looks like this."
He totally threw him under the bus. Well,
he could have said, "I know a guy that looks like this."
Would you call it to throw under the bus, or would you call it more along the lines like jumping out the plane?
Yeah, he.
Or he was the rat. You know what I mean? Like the secret agent.
Yeah. No, I mean, he deserves his credit for he wasn't lying. He was not lying. But
it's pretty remarkable.
I think the steroid guys are not getting in ever. I really don't. I know Bonds. I know Clemens. Like, they've improved their status.
They're going to get closer. I think they're going to barely miss it. Like, I think they're going to almost get enough, and so there's just...
You can't say never because we don't know. There might be a change of public opinion that happens in the next couple of years. I mean, it might happen.
Which it happens very commonly.
It happens.
Yeah.
It could absolutely happen. So I'm not going to say never, but based on their current trajectories, I don't think any of them are getting in. You can pretty much take McGuire and Sosa off. It's Bonds. If Bonds doesn't get in, none of them get in.
Yeah, very true. Because Bonds is the all-time home run leader.
Because the thing about Bonds, what makes me upset is that he was a Hall of Famer before the steroid stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, the dude was a 40-40 member. Like, the guy did it all, 5-tool player.
That's the most crucial thing. You can see a before and after picture, and he looks not like the same person.
I'm not saying he didn't do it.
It looks like he ate Barry Bonds.
I know. I'm not saying he didn't change. He didn't cheat. I'm
not saying that
he
fat, but I'm saying like he got.
But the point is that before he was in the cloud of maybe this guy is using, he was a Hall of Famer. Like, if his career stopped before he was a Hall of Famer.
Before like that 2001 era, like before like
he had already put in 13 years of MLB service. He was in the 40-40 club. He already hit like 400 homers by then, 400 500 homers. However many it was, he already had Hall of Fame stats. Like, he already had the numbers. Yeah.
Then he got steroids, and it was just unreal.
So that's what makes me mad, right?
Well, the people's argument is like steroids can't make you hit the ball. Steroids can make you be accurate with your swing and have a great swing and all this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It just gives you power. I get that part, but there's other aspects of baseball more than just power that you have to be good in. Just taking steroids doesn't make you great at baseball. That's just my opinion.
Yep.
But I understand why people don't agree with that.
Yeah, all right.
It's an understandable situation.
Anyways, you want to go to a break and come back, talk a little NFL? We have some news.
I'd love to. When we get back, we'll talk about Kansas City firing their defensive coordinator and other things that happen in the NFL. We'll be right back right after this.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We just finished talking about baseball and the Hall of Famers. Now we're moving on to the NFL, the National Football League. And one of the top teams in the NFL that's not in the Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs, have fired their defensive coordinator after a very disappointing performance in the AFC Championship game that ultimately cost them a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes.
I didn't know if you were going to say something else.
No. I was thinking your thoughts on this.
My thoughts are the Chiefs' defense is obviously their weakness. I think everybody can agree on that. It's certainly not their offense. Now, I thought the Chiefs' defense was relatively decent for the second part of the season. I know that they started off historically bad. I get it. They were, and I know that term gets thrown around a lot, historically bad. They started historically bad. I know that. But the Chiefs were pretty darn terrible for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season defensively.
Oh yeah.
They were
That's what everyone was saying. This team is great, but their defense is going to cost them to go to the Super Bowl, and it eventually happened.
But their defense did improve as the season went on, and I think their offense kind of went, especially they had the turmoil.
Their
Kareem
offense
Hunt,
stepped up even higher.
It went slumped a little bit. Where I know Mahomes' numbers were still great, but the whole Kareem Hunt transition. There was Tyreek Hill was hurt for a couple weeks where he played, but he wasn't himself. It was
a foot injury too, so it really affected his speed.
There was a couple game lull in there in the season.
Absolutely.
But the defense, I thought, got a little bit better. Now, was the defense good? No. Do I understand why he got fired? Yes. But
I think it needed to be done.
Let's be honest. If D Ford's not offside, the dude is probably not getting fired. I mean, he's definitely not getting fired until after the Super Bowl, at least. If D Ford's not offside, this defensive coordinator is certainly not getting fired.
Oh, absolutely not.
At least until after the Super Bowl.
D Ford, no one remembers this, but there was an interception, and D Ford was it looked like he was 4 yards off the line.
No one's going to remember.
It was just offsides. Was it barely off? Then you look at the tape, and you see the blue line, and his whole body's almost over it. How do you not have that awareness? As a NFL professional football player, and you should always know where the line of scrimmage is. You should not be that far. If you're an inch, I get that. But he was a foot.
Yeah.
You gotta look.
So Sutton is gone.
So we're blaming D Ford for their loss.
No,
is that what
we're not. We're not. But let me just say this. Was it the coaching, or was it just they don't have very good players on defense? They don't have good defenders.
And Eric Berry came back, and I was like, oh, that's exciting.
And he played how many games? 2?
Yeah, and he had to guard Gronk, and that's not a matchup for him.
Kansas City made terrible signings. They benched all of their DBs. Orlando Scandrick.
Mm-hmm. But don't you agree that the idea of having Eric Berry go 1-on-1 with Gronk throughout most of the game was a bad decision?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I thought it was a bad decision. No.
So here's my thing.
Because in the red zone, Gronk was dangerous.
Here's my thing, though. Sutton gets the axe, okay, but I don't think he had a lot to work with there. So I don't really think that they underachieved. I just think they achieved normally. I think they played with the players that they had.
There were defensive formations that did not help the situation.
Yeah, I get it.
I think it was the right move.
What's that quote? It's not the X's and O's, it's the Jims and the Joes. That's how I kind of feel about that.
I think it was both, though.
Yeah, maybe.
It was both the X's and O's and the Jims and the Joes.
We see that Rex Ryan is a candidate to replace him. I'd be cool with that.
I would actually be interested to see that because that's how he got his job in New York in the first place. He was the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens.
Andy Reid's we need more weight around here in the coach's room.
Yeah, we need, and he's got to get a tattoo of D Ford on his arm.
So, what else happened? Oh, Larry Fitzgerald, he's coming back. You hear about that?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? 16th season, returning to the Cardinals on a 1-year deal.
Why the Cardinals, sir? Well, I'm sorry, but if you're coming back, it should be for a championship. You have nothing left to prove elsewhere, and you're going to go to a team that has legitimately, in my mind, no chance of going to the Super Bowl next year. So loyalty will only get you so far. He's been loyal enough for this team. I think it's time for them to say, you know what, we're going to trade you to the Kansas City Chiefs or the New Orleans Saints to get you a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Be good to him like he's been good to you. That's my opinion on it.
I don't think he wants to play anywhere else. Why would he come back? He's a free agent.
That's true. But I think it would be a mature move.
If he wanted to play for another team, why wouldn't he just sign with another team?
True.
So, we can't really blame the Cardinals. Of course.
But I think it's one of those things he's been here long enough. He's forget it, screw it, or whatever.
Well, it's open door. If he doesn't want to play for us, he doesn't have to play for us.
You're true.
He's not being held hostage. He's the one that said, hey, I want to play. Okay, here's a contract.
But I would at least have the conversation with the guy. Do you want us to trade you to a team that has a Super Bowl chance?
I still don't understand why they need to have that conversation, though, because he could just sign for that team.
Yeah, I get it. Maybe he wants them to get a good deal for him or something. I don't know. It's just a theory. a game theory.
I don't think after the 16 years, after you've given everything, you really care about
a Super Bowl.
No, you really care about what your team is getting for you in return. Like, just go win a Super Bowl. Like, you don't. If that's your goal, like,
we'll see.
What player would even think about that? Like, oh, I want to play for the Saints, but I want you to trade me to the Saints because I want you to get a 6th round draft pick. Like, I don't know. Like, just go sign with the Saints.
True. You got it. You do bring up an excellent point, and I also have to say that Josh Rosen isn't. Do you see the Cardinals having any hope of making the playoffs, let alone the Super Bowl?
I have no idea what to expect with Cliff Kingsbury, like,
or Kyle Murray.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
idea.
I know that's like no. Everyone's like, there's no.
I can't
chance.
say anything about the Cardinals until they're the team. I know this with every team. You got to see their offseason, but we definitely have to see their offseason because this team, how it looks right now, could be 100% different next year. I mean, other than Larry Fitzgerald might be the only person still around. Like, we have no idea if they're going to blow this thing up. They could blow this thing up.
Self-destruction.
They could trade Rosen. They could trade David Johnson. Like, we literally have no clue what the Cardinals are going to do. So, I don't know.
Will we ever know?
We will, but it won't be now.
Yeah.
It will not be today.
It will not be today. It will not be in the next couple of weeks. It will be probably before the draft, obviously, but we'll see.
I don't even know what to expect from Cliff Kingsbury, to be honest with you. The Cardinals are going to be... I actually would love to see them on Hard Knocks.
The Cardinals? Oh, yeah. I
would love it because they're not eligible, though, because they have a new coach. So they're ineligible, but
I don't like that. Why? That should make them more eligible. That should make them double eligible. Isn't that more curious than the others? A new coach would be making more curious.
It's not all about how curious a situation is. They want to give new coaches a year where they're not under the spotlight,
under the pressure, pushing down.
Yeah,
on
I mean, it's not
pushing down on me. No man asked for.
God, please stop. Singing every day.
I'm not even singing. I'm just saying lyrics.
Yeah, that's even worse. At least sing it.
I have a horrible voice.
So then why even
talk
it?
Because it's funny because people are thinking the same thing.
That's not funny. Nobody's laughing. I'm not laughing. Are you?
We can't hear anybody.
Well, that's everybody.
Whatever. This just got way too meta. Anyways, we were talking about Larry Fitzgerald, right? We were talking about the Cardinals in general.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And what I see happening is just this is a swan song for him.
I like.
You know how
I think that he should have chosen a different number on his jersey than 11.
Why?
Because for the last 3 years, he's played on 1-year contracts for $11 million because of his number. He should have been number, I don't know.
99?
How about a real wide receiver number like 81, 89? Oh.
89 million? Do you think they'll actually pay him that? No way.
Guess
1 year, $89 million?
You won't know if you don't try, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
I don't know.
Let's talk about another receiver, Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley, slot receiver for the Cowboys. He was not happy. He kind of ripped the front office a little bit, I think, because he said that it was a little bit of politics going on in the Cowboys game planning where certain players were, I don't know, being pushed to receive more targets in the passing game and not him. He was a little salty. He's a free agent. Do you think he'll be back after he kind of sort of criticized the Cowboys?
I have a prediction he's not going to be back next season. So he was like, I'm going to go out swinging. And he just had to let out his thoughts. He was probably frustrated about the situation. And he was just like, you know what? I got to vent.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I don't expect him to be back, honestly, because, well, it sounds like he's a player that don't want to come back, to be honest with you. How about Deion Sanders, man? Deion Sanders' son, Shiloh Sanders, remember the name. He has picked and chosen to go to South Carolina. He's the number 287 prospect in the country. He is a cornerback like his father. What I did find interesting, though, Jeff, is that his profile lists him as a physical cornerback. Deion Sanders' son, a physical cornerback. Deion Sanders was the opposite of physical.
Yes, he was. He was basically glue.
He was just a cornerback.
Yeah. Yeah. But the greatest cornerback of all time.
He was the greatest cover corner we have seen.
And obviously, you have a lot to live up to in that stance. So I think he didn't want to go to a major school just because of the fact that's too much pressure. So South Carolina is not. It's a big school. Don't get me wrong, but it's not levels of Oklahoma or Clemson. Or he probably could have gotten to those schools as well. And I think this is just a better fit for him and more comfortable for him.
Yeah,
because it's like you don't want to just live up to this hype. Because
no one
can.
We'll see if he can make his mark in the NFL.
I think he has a lot of potential. I'm just saying. Yeah,
he's a top 300 prospect, so he's definitely good.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it's unfair to compare him to his father.
Well, unfortunately, Jeff, he will be compared to his father.
Yeah, that's the biggest shame here. But
it may be unfair to compare him to his father, but isn't it also a little bit unfair that he got all the chance in the world to be good? Best training, money. Right? I mean, it goes both ways, right?
Yeah, true.
The best equipment, the best coaching,
it's
connections.
Yes, but it's just one of those things where it's like you're compared to the greatest of all time.
Would you rather be the son of a Hall of Famer or be the son of, I don't know, a blue-collar worker who maybe doesn't get the opportunity to, play for the right schools, get the right training, something like that,
Yeah, true.
So, it goes both ways, but I understand what you're saying. It's hard to live up to the hype, but unfortunately for him, he'll always be compared to his father. So,
yeah.
Anyways, we should take a break. When we come back, we got a couple more interesting news and notes in the world of sports, and we'll do that when we return.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome to the final segment of the GSMC Sports Podcast. Now let's get into the other news. What other news do we have on stock?
Yeah, so I think yesterday we talked about a soccer player in Europe, Emiliano Sala. He, not to be confused with Mohamed Salah. I know that that's a little bit confusing. This is a completely different player. He was a player, a striker, who just recently got bought by Cardiff City in Wales, who also plays in the English Premier League. His plane went missing, flying over the English Channel, his private plane, and he is still missing.
Yeah,
I hate to report. They don't know where the plane is at all.
It's a very scary situation.
Again, we hope for the best, but it's just one of those things where it's almost like you expect to see bad news, right?
You're expecting to see the worst.
All right, let's talk about Saints fans and their salt levels for a minute. You want to do that?
Sure.
They're filing a lawsuit to have the game replayed?
Yes. Yes, they are. An actual attorney from New Orleans has filed a lawsuit against the NFL saying of the unjustly unjustly unfair act of the non-PI the PI that was not called. But do they forget also there was a couple face mask calls and unsportsmanlike conduct penalties that was not called for the Saints' favor?
I also want to point out that the couple was it one player on the Saints who tried to jump on Jared Goff and on Todd Gurley? Did you see those videos? Bounty Gate is still alive in New Orleans.
Oh yeah. You
did see them?
The drop kick, you mean? The guy on the ground, he jumped on his head?
He tried to jump
he
on
tried to
the ground.
Mario his head. He was trying to think he was the guy. Gurley was a Goomba, and he was Mario.
Yeah. It's pretty bad, man.
Yeah. It's
I get why Saints fans are upset.
But you got to look at there's so many other missed calls.
He tried to get him on his arm.
Yeah, he tried to take him out. And that's really gross. It's not right. Oh yeah, there's the Mario Goomba situation.
Dude.
He's showing me gifs of the incidences, which I already seen, but just seeing them again. That was Mario.
Who is this player?
I don't know, but obviously Greg Williams has something to do with that. I'm kidding.
Yeah, so, man, look, Saints fans, I get it. You're upset. Like, you guys got screwed. I'm not going to lie. But it happens, man. Bad calls happen in sports. You're not the first team nor the last team. Like, it happens.
Do you remember, people are bringing back that 2000, I believe it was 2002, 2003 NFC wildcard game between the Niners and Giants where they made that comeback and the botched field goal and the obvious missed penalty of the pass interference call at the end of that game? I think it was called the controversial comeback.
Mm-hmm.
And they called an illegal man downfield, which there was, but they missed the pass interference call because that man was an eligible receiver, which should have offset those penalties, and they should have got another kick. But it never happened, and that is one of the most – that's still talked about today.
Sean Payton, I'm not going to lie, man. I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL, but doesn't he kind of just isn't he kind of just like an arrogant dude? Like, doesn't he kind of rub you the wrong way a little bit?
Oh, yeah, he thinks everyone's against him.
Like
he thinks he's better than the NFL.
How is this?
Doesn't I feel like he's better than the NFL?
How do I rationalize what I'm about to tell you? Please be my psychiatrist or psychologist right now. I need to give you some Prozac. I feel bad for the Saints. I think Sean Payton had every right to be pissed when he was freaking out on the sideline. I would have been the same way, probably worse. I probably would have got thrown out of the game. I think the Saints are a well-coached team.
I can see you just trying to attack a ref.
I think the Saints are a well-coached team. I feel for Peyton, and yet, Jeff, today, I don't like Sean Payton because of what happened the other day. Because I still think that he handled the post-game stuff I thought was just crap. I really did. The league office called you. You're right to be upset in that moment. I'm not going to – but, take some damn responsibility for the loss. You lost the game.
He took zero responsibility.
You lost the game, man. You called a pass play on 1st and 10 before on that same set of downs. You threw an incompletion. Then you ran the ball. Timeout. Then an incompletion. You didn't get the call. Goes your way. You put your team in position to lose.
Yeah. Also, you know what a big factor is? They had the ball first in overtime.
They had the ball first in overtime.
They did not get the job done.
You were the home team. You had a 2-touchdown lead.
We are about to get Saints fans calling angry.
They had the home field advantage. They had a 2-touchdown lead. They were 2 for 5 in the red zone. Not good enough. They could have put that game away so many times earlier in the game. They didn't. They left the door open. The Rams tie it, go to overtime. Even still, the Saints get the ball first. You said it. You're correct. Even still, after all that, the Saints win the coin toss. They throw an interception. They lose the game.
Yeah. You are very passionate about this, aren't you?
Well, I'm just saying, why don't you Saints fans direct their anger towards how mismanaged that game was by their head coach rather than, they didn't get this call right.
There were a lot of questionable play calls in that game on the offensive side. That
the Rams
they try to be too creative.
The Rams had numerous calls that did not go their way. Numerous calls. Mm-hmm. The Rams did. You pointed some out. Face mask,
unnecessary roughness calls.
We just saw a video of a Saints player twice trying to stomp on dudes after. That's dirty. That's really dirty.
And one of them was so obvious. He jumped 3 feet in the air.
Yeah.
It's not like he was trying to hide it. It was pretty obvious.
I'm just kind of tired of him, man. Like, I'm tired of it. I am. So I am a little passionate about it. But hey, what are you going to do?
Because it's always the Saints. It's always Sean Payton.
I feel we should be happy. Saints fans are giving us something to talk about in a week of just the Pro Bowl. You know what? Thank you.
Touche. We do have just the Pro Bowl to talk about, which we haven't even discussed. I don't even know who are all the starters
talk about
are.
Today. We'll talk about Friday. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know every single starter.
Yeah.
Does anybody?
It's a mess.
So many guys back out and so many guys take their place, and it's this.
Last story of the day. Jay-Z attends Duke game last night. Zion Williamson a little starstruck, but interesting that a celebrity as big as Jay-Z sitting courtside at a Duke basketball game.
It's Zion. Well, if you're compared to LeBron James, you're going to say, "Oh, I got to see this dude."
Yeah, it is.
And when you have the money Jay-Z has, it's like I can afford to go randomly to North Carolina and see this game.
Yeah. Anyways, that's it. We're done.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Tune us in tomorrow. We have our football podcast, our sports podcast, and our basketball podcast for tomorrow. And today we're finishing up with baseball and soccer. Hopefully you tune into those, and we will see you next time.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.